Hello, Reagan here, and we are back for part 4 of this hut build, this adorable little kit. And I'm gonna kind of speed through a little bit of this because it's just like glue the thing to the thing. So it's pretty basic. Right now, this is the little flower pot that goes outside the front door. If I'm like, anytime I speed up part of the video and you want to see what I'm doing a little slower, you can actually set your speed settings on YouTube and watch things a little slower or a little faster. So sometimes, like if it's going a little too quickly for you and you want to like watch the steps a little bit slower, you do have that option on any platform to slow your YouTube down. Sometimes it doesn't work right on my TV, but yeah, just a little heads up there. There is a speed adjustment setting on YouTube, so that gives you a little bit of control there. But yeah, I'm just working on getting this glued together. I have some stuff coming up that I'll be sharing with you pretty soon. There's House of Miniatures builds that I'm doing. There's a couple of tables. Well, actually, there's a table and a nightstand that I'm working on. And then I also put together my own like stereoscope, which is like this little viewer thing that holds pictures and you can see the two. So I'll be sharing those builds with you soon, and the stereoscope I'll actually be sharing the files with you because it's my own like design that I put together, and it's going to be available as either a direct download, or you can also do like an SVG file for like Cricut or whatever. So I'll be sharing that with you shortly soon, within the next like week or two. I've got everything done. I just I don't know what I did. Like I just had to clean up the file, because when I do it for myself, I like will purposely put in extra steps. So I just need to like whittle it down so that it's not all these extra steps and redundancies. It's not that complex of a thing, but I made it complex, which is silly. So I got to fix that a little bit. It shouldn't be as hard as it was. But there's a few other things that I really want to make for my dollhouse that I'm really hoping to actually work out and not just wing and be able to share the files with people. So we're getting there. It's slow. I'm terrible at this, but it's happening. This little piece that I'm working on in the video here, right now, is the, like, this is horrific. The bane of my existence right here. Okay, so it's not so bad. You start off, you just bend the little square piece of metal around the bottom of the wood, and that is so that you can use it to anchor on the base. But the base consists of these two weird backward rabbit folded things that are the legs, because it's supposed to be like, those little folding tables. I probably should have just made a little wooden folding table instead of doing this, because this doesn't actually fold, but it looks like it does. It's really cute. Don't get me wrong. It's adorable. But wow. The frustration that this gave me for some reason, and like the anxiety, was unreal, and probably like for no reason. But I had a lot of other stuff going on when I was working on this. There were like other people in the house, and like the TV was on, we were talking, I was like talking on the phone, and like had like 50 million different things going all at once while I was trying to get this bent into shape, which kept me completely bent out of shape. I was really over the top annoyed trying to get it done. But at some point the pressure kind of helped me, so I got through it. Like I did it. I'm so proud of myself that I didn't completely give up on this. I'll be honest with you, I have one kit that I did, and it had this really adorable chandelier, but the chandelier consisted of like taking just a straight flat piece of wire and basically doing this elaborate, like all these elaborate things with like 50 million different glue spots. And I hadn't built a kit for a long time when I got that kit or whatever. So very quickly I was like, nope, not gonna do that. And I just put like one little decorative bead around the bulb and glued it into the ceiling like it was, instead of making the chandelier. And part of me was like, yep, at least I got it done, and that's fine. And another part of me is like thinking about that randomly when I'm trying to fall asleep at night, how I need to go back and, you know, conquer that like thing that's like my white whale. It's like just go back. I keep all the books to all of my kids. Because sometimes it's useful, like have a little bit of a reference when you're trying to like work something out in your head and you're like, oh yeah, like I just built something similar to that and I still have the instructions on how I did it. So eventually I will go back and I will make that little chandelier, and when I do, I'll share that with you as well. I don't know how I managed to just like completely ditch out on that. I was like, no, I can't do it. Anyway, so once you've gone through the torture of getting the wire bent the right way the first time, you get to do it all over again, but at least you have a guide when you're doing the second one. So, I mean, there's that. There's a little bit of a reprieve. And like I said, there's like 50 million other ways this could have been done. I could have just used wood and made, you know, a little frame for it, you know, whip out the coffee stir sticks and made some little legs for it or whatever. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And, you know, in the end, I'm glad I did. It came out pretty cute. Lots of bending, lots of jabbing myself with the metal. The wire that they include is very soft, so it comes together pretty easily. It's like really easy to manipulate, and you know, other than trying to get like sharp corners, I pretty much like I could have done this by hand. I didn't really need the pliers. I also have like stupid hand strength, so I used to do a lot of bouldering, so I've got some pretty decent hand strength. But when you're done, there it is, and they're really like cute, and it's really frustrating. And I'll be honest with you, like I put the glue on here, and then like I held it, and then I cut the video. But to be honest with you, I had to go get my 1, 2, 3 blocks and some tape, and like make a little scaffolding to hold the legs in place so that they didn't fall while they were drying. But once it dried, it turned out pretty cute. But yeah, just some of these things are so silly, frustrating. It's so funny, but it worked. So yeah, the next part is the wiring. And you know what? It's really simple once you've established what's positive and what's negative on these lights. If you just take the battery and slip it in between them, don't leave it there too long. But I mean, for the most part, it's fine. But yeah, just once you establish positive and negative, I mean, sometimes I'll like take a Sharpie and like mark one side so that I know, or you know, whatever. This time I did manage to remember which one was which. You can actually, if you have the eyes for it, you can, when you test the battery, if you look on the inside, like the little filament piece that runs through the middle of the bulb or whatever, like you can actually see the wire go through the bulb. There's a fatter side and a skinnier side, and when you test it, you can use that to keep track of which is positive, which is negative. I said, or just put a piece of tape or a little marker mark on it and do it that way. And then there's heat shrink wrap, and standard would be to put the heat shrink wrap on the wire and then pull it back and then do all your stuff and then pull it over it and use it. But I forgot, so I had to go to the other end and put the heat shrink wrap on, but it just threaded across. It was no big deal. And with the heat shrink wrap, it's pretty straightforward. You just try to cover up all the metal so that it doesn't short out, you know, across the metal doesn't hit the metal from the positive to the negative. And I just heat it up a little bit with like a lighter or whatever, trying to go too crazy because you'll you know, screw it up. But for the most part, I mean, you can also like straight up solder these. You don't have to just wrap them in heat shrink wrap or whatever. But yeah, sometimes I solder them. Sometimes it's just like, you know what, I'll just throw this together and then I'll like go back. Like for my kits, I usually end up going back and soldering them and stuff later on, just to kind of tidy it up a little bit. I like that idea better. But you twist the two wires together, and this light is the light that's like the main ceiling light. There's only one light in this whole kit, so it's kind of, that's it. What I did here is I laid down a whole bunch of tacky glue. It dries clear, so you won't see it. Plus this is like inside in the ceiling, and laid this down and then like taped it to it with some Scotch tape. It's like the little modeling Scotch tape. I like it because it's a really narrow roll. It's a little bit pricey, but I've had that same roll for, I don't know, years. Like this stuff lasts me forever because I'll pull a bunch of little tabs of it and stick them to the edge of my desk and then use them on a project. And like sometimes I'll reuse them or I'll just like keep reusing them in the same project. And they work really well and they hold their sticky pretty decently and they don't leave residue. So it's nice. But yeah, you want to follow that back as far as you can, like to up to where that little notch is, because the little notch sits into the ceiling, like into the wall on the ceiling or whatever, so that it holds it in place. And that will be your light. So then I just had to glue on the walls. And once we get the walls put together, they're once again pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of weird though, like there's this weird cutout and for some reason my brain was like, where does that line up at? And it doesn't line up anywhere. And I was like, I wish that lined up somewhere, but it doesn't. And I had to like struggle with that for a minute. But eventually I did get it all like where it needed to be. And it worked out. I will say, as a word of caution, if you're doing this kit the exact way it says to, anything that you want to do inside, like decorate the stuff, put the things in the window, cover the inside wall or whatever, you need to do that before you get to this point. Or like at this point, before you put the fourth wall on, you need to do that. So the light that goes across the top gets the wire gets threaded down to the corner. There's a hole and you just run the wiring down to the hole and out to the floor, and then that'll be pretty self-explanatory to clean itself up in a minute. And then this is the little stone platform that the stove sits on. So just make sure that you've got your wire ran down to that back corner, and the little notched out corner of this is facing into the corner of the room so that your wire can move freely and sit back there and not be like pinched or anything. On the first one of these kits I did, instead of gluing the windows side wall on, I actually used some little hinges. And I was winging it. I didn't plan anything. I just grabbed some random stuff out of the drawer and kind of made it work. And it worked, but it's also kind of a headache. But it's nice to be able to fully access this. I put a magnet on it to like keep it closed or whatever. You could also just put magnets and not put the hinge so that you could take it off and on. You know, there's 1,000 different ways that you could do this, or just like sticky tack it in place instead of putting it on there permanently. You could also do the same with the roof, you know, instead of the wall. I was thinking about like gluing some little bracers on the inside of the roof so that it wouldn't slide off, but I could just sit it on top, you know, like an old apple crate, you know, the little pieces that keep the lids from sliding off. Basically that concept, but I didn't. Yeah, so then with the wiring, once again, I'm finishing it up here. Just make sure that you have your positive and negative hashed out so you're connecting the right ones. And once again, you can test it with the battery as far as the bulb itself goes. And then as far as the little battery compartment goes, the red is positive, black is negative. So it's pretty easy. And just connect everything. Make sure you use your heat shrink wrap so that everything is secure and nothing will short out. And then, of course, we get to use that cute little battery compartment that's on the underside to secure that. Yeah, I really can't wait to show you the rest of the stuff that I'm working on. I'm super excited. I've been having so much fun. At the detriment of my health, probably, because I've been sitting a lot at my desk while I work on things. Probably more than I should be, but we have been having some like crazy weather. It's been like hot, cold, windy, rain, everything. You know, I'm used to one temperature here, and that's blinding hot, and I don't know what to do when it's not just blinding hot outside. Like, when it's under 80 degrees, I'm freezing to death, and yeah, it's kind of wild. I'm really struggling here. Plus, because of all of the snow and everything happening, you know, in the higher elevations, that brings our temperature down as well. Even though we might not get all the snow and everything, we'll definitely get a little bit of a temperature drop, which makes me feel like I'm not going to make the night. But there's a lot of people in a lot worse weather than what I deal with here, so I really just need to stop that, like, and not complain, because it could be so much worse. I'm sure of it. Anyway, so I'm putting the batteries in, and look at that. It works. I was so excited. I did it. I did it. I do this all the time, but every time the light actually comes on, I'm like, yeah, that's a win. This little battery compartment too, by the way, you can either just like put a piece of tape on it, or there's actually screws that go in it. And magically, I managed to not lose those screws somehow. I was very proud of myself. I mean, I misplaced them on my desk, but I did actually manage to secure both of them once I, remembered that, yeah, I did just dump on the desk with everything else. But they didn't roll away, the cats didn't steal them, and I didn't lay my arm down on the desk and get one stuck to it and have it drop off as I walked out the front door and disappear into, the abyss. So, yay! Feeling very, very accomplished at this point. So the only thing left is to put the roof on, and there's one little support piece that goes on top of the side with all the windows, and I don't know what I'm doing here. I just put like every bit of glue on here. My brain said just go for it. I don't know why. I thought that was a good idea. I do always go back and like clean up my glue and stuff, and I don't always just dump a whole bunch, but it worked. And then the top pieces. It's also the chimney for the stove. Like, make sure that you like dry fit that really well and make sure it all fits like it's supposed to before you get too far into this. But like this would be like the ideal point to put the rest of the chimney on before you glue the very top piece on. I didn't do that. And in one of my kits, my chimney doesn't match up, but you can't really tell. I was just gonna put some black tape to fill the gap because somebody wasn't paying attention and got overzealous and overcut one of the chimney sections. I don't know who that is, but I heard it's a rumor. Anyway, but there it is. And then that's the roof on there. This one was a little bit warped, but yeah, it worked. And there it is. Adorable little build. And see, there's the hinged one that I made too that opens, and I really like that. So anyway, thank you, and see you next time. Bye.